welcome to Whips in the Dungeon. I'm Dex, and we're going to start a new playlist and launch onto a new adventure together. Most of you know, obviously, the focus of this channel is whip throwing and throwing whips in the dungeon. And I recently acquired a new whip from Smokey Mountain Whips, and I've got it tuned in, but it's not broken in. So one of the goals of working on this playlist is going to be to break this whip in. But I also have some things that are going on with me personally. I've got some heart issues I've been working on, and I got the idea of exploring gongs with my whip and actually learning to play a gong throwing the whip. So I have several goals. I've got a number of gongs I'm going to introduce on this playlist. You're going to get to see me talk a little bit about each gong and throw with each gong. Still breaking this whip in. But as I play with each gong, you'll get to hear the different sounds. And my goal is to eventually, I'm going to build a frame that will hold all of my gongs. I think I've got 6 or 7 gongs, so that I can create a sacred space and not only practice with my whip, break my whip in, learn to play the gongs with the cracker on the end of my whip. So we won't be using a traditional mallet, and there's different types of mallets when you strike a gong. We're not going to use a traditional mallet. We're going to be striking the gong with the whip. So it'll be very challenging, but it'll be fun, at least fun for me, hopefully fun for you watching. But my ultimate goal is to get good enough that I can create a sacred space and play a sound bath for you guys, so that the sound bath might actually be introduced into dungeon play. And I'm hoping along that journey of playing with the gongs and creating sounds with the gongs that the healing effect from the gongs themselves actually helps heal me and puts my heart in a better condition. I've always said throwing a rhythm whip is good for your blood pressure and your heart. Many times I've said if I could throw a whip 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I could live forever, because it generally lowers my blood pressure, puts me in almost a meditative state. And actually, I call it a hyper focus. When you're really focused on feathering the target with your whip, it puts you into a top space or a mental space that's almost meditative. And we could argue that there's some healing aspects to that. So this is just the first little video to start our gong journey. We're going to start with a 4-inch, some people call this a hand gong, a 4-inch brass gong that came from China, not very expensive, but you could see it's going to be very challenging to throw at it. I'm just going to throw at it for a couple minutes to give you an idea of what practicing with a gong this small would look like and what it might sound like. We're going to use a little bit of butt boy for background music to give me a rhythm to throw to. I hope you enjoy this. And I'll have in the description below the description of this gong and how you might find it. It wasn't very expensive. I think it was like $8.95 on Amazon. Came from China. that's it for throwing with the 4-inch gong. I'm gonna have to actually listen to the video and see if my background music was too loud, or if you were able to hear me striking the gong. Hopefully you could see the gong move as the whip came by. And actually, if I come up real close, you probably can see on the gong face itself the cracker brush marks, put light marks on the face of the gong as the whip cracker came by. So thank you. That's the very first video on our journey with gongs. I'll introduce each gong in subsequent videos. We're probably going to go up in size and throw a 6-inch gong in the next video. So if you enjoyed this content or you're intrigued by it, please hit the subscribe button, like it, leave a comment, tell me what you think about whips and gongs. Do they work? Can this work? Well, let's see. We're going to keep this journey going. Thanks for watching Whips in the Dungeon.